All right, welcome back. Thanks for logging on and tuning in. If you haven't already, go down and hit that like button and subscribe. That way you can keep coming back over and over to hang with us and our wonderfully talented and creative guests in the arts and entertainment world. After the show, you can go on over to our other social media pages. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Like us, follow us on there as well. We're constantly updating new events where we're going to be, new things that our guests have worked on, and our new stuff coming up for them. Right now we are at the Lady and Leap Toystore in New Hartford, New York. And we're hanging with author Barry Cavanaugh. Thank you so much for hanging with us.
Thank you for having me, Allyson.
So tell us about your book. Give us a little book blurb.
Well, I wrote it about 12 years ago, and I put it away on a shelf, and I brought it back out about 5 years ago, and my wife says, "What about that book?" And so I brought it back out, and then we got it published. But it's an early childhood development book. It's about life values and life lessons that you can give to your child. So it's based on 12 tree trolls.
Okay.
And each one has a gift to give the child. And the way this came about was when we were driving back from Syracuse, and we came back from Build-A-Bear. And I paid like $18 for the bears, and next thing I know, it was $180 later.
Yeah,
and I said, that's a pretty good gimmick. I said, we have to try to do something like that.
Yeah.
And I said to my daughter, who was like 9 or 10 at that time, I said, what should we do? And she goes, let's write a book about trolls. And I was on the thruway, and I said, what about if they lived in trees? And we went with that. So I wrote it back then, put it away, brought it back out, and as I said, each one has a gift. The vest that they wear represents what their gift is.
Okay.
So the vest, the scales of justice. So we're talking about justice and treating people equally and fairly. She would have the scale of justice on her vest. Happiness is happy faces, and
wow.
Anger. Anger is a boy's favorite. He's got black spiked hair. He's got lightning bolts and a black vest. But what he does is he's really a coping mechanism. But the boys gravitate to him the most. But what he does is when the child's angry, you call upon him, he takes the anger out of the child, and then he disperses it. But that leads the parent into, or caregiver into, well, what else can you do? How else can you cope with your anger? Well, I can go read my book. I can go listen to music. I can take a little walk if it's safe, and go out in the backyard if it's safe.
Yeah.
There's other ways to disperse my anger, but so anger is just a coping mechanism. Other ones like comfort. If someone loses someone special, that vest has teddy bears on it. That gives hugs. So each one has a special theme. They stand about 20 inches tall. They have pointed ears, 3 fingers and 3 toes. And the most unique feature about them is they have 2 belly buttons.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's interesting, yes. And I've learned a long time ago that when you're in an auditorium and you ask the kids how many belly buttons they have, and 30 of them lift their shirts up and go, 1, I've learned to say, without showing me, how many belly buttons do you have?
That's
so
very cool.
It's just they all raise their fingers and say 1, which is good. And other things that are in the book are diversity. It's not really talked about in the book, but when you get to the part when you see them all together, you can see
very cool.
You can see the diversity amongst them with the different color, the skin tones, and a lot of times the kids in the audience will say, "Why are they so different?" Well, look around the room.
Right.
You've got 150, 200 kids in the auditorium. You're all different, but they all get along. They work together. They're friends. They cooperate together, which is another
fantastic.
Another one.
Yeah, lesson. Very good. So, is this your first book?
This is the first book. My plans are to write maybe 1 book featuring 2 trolls to get more into what is compassion, how do you show compassion, why it's important to give compassion, and team that up with one that's like maybe compassion with friendship or happiness, but liberty and justice will probably be a book on their own. but it's to highlight the trolls.
Very good. So did you have to do a lot of research on trolls and all that kind of stuff?
I did Google it when I first started, and there weren't that many tree trolls out there. There were some, but there wasn't. And I also, when I started to think about what I wanted them to look like, you go back to the 60s trolls, the little, and I said, well, I don't want them obviously to look too much like them, but I wanted them cute. Right. I wanted them to be lovable. And when I talked to my artist, my illustrator at that time, I said to him, this is what I want: the pointed ears, the fingers, 2 belly buttons, but they need to be cute. And he came back about a month later with Love and Anger. And I said, these are perfect. These are just what I wanted. I said, that's the good news. I said, the bad news is I need 10 more. And he goes, yeah, I know you need 10 more. But I think he did a great job with making them similar but yet different.
Yes, he did.
Everybody seems to have their favorite. My wife's, she likes Compassion with the braided hair. That's her favorite. Wisdom is a popular one too. I like Comfort. There's just something about her that I like. Love is another one. It just gives love and promotes love, and just just a loving and caring person.
Wow, it's beautiful. Was it hard to get published?
Well, a lot of times in life, it's a lot like who you know. So when I was I was the athletic director at SUNY Morrisville, and I was also the basketball coach. And there was a teacher there, Brian McDowell, who was a journalism teacher. Well, he was also the sports information director. So that was 30 years ago. He retired. I moved on from Morrisville, but he opened a small publishing company. Oh. So I went to him after my wife encouraged me to bring it back out, and I gave it to him. 6 months went by, I didn't hear from him, and I kept thinking, well, I guess he didn't like it. So I finally got enough courage to call him, and he said he's had some issues with his wife being ill, but she was getting better, and they were over that hump. He goes, I'll get back to you in a couple of weeks. I'll read it and I'll get back to you. Well, within a week, he basically called me, so we got to do something with this. Okay. So I said, all right, let's do it, and it just moved forward. And that's when I also went to my illustrator up the road, who was a fellow church member at my church, and he just drew pencil on paper, just landscaping barns and trees and rural scenes. And that's when I said to him, I got this idea. And he said, well, I never drew a troll before. I said, well, I never wrote a book before. So I said, this should work out just great. Yeah. And then the publisher, we just kept putting the pieces together. But I was still working full time. The illustrator is still working full time. And so it took like almost 2 years to put it together, a year and a half to get it right. But we were very pleased with the way it came out. And Brian from Log Cabin Books is the name of the publishing company. He said, let's take your time. Let's make sure it's right, and then we'll get it out there. We don't want to rush it and have something that you don't like or it's wrong. So it took us a long time. My wife was probably the final person to read it and to make sure it was good, editing it and the grammar was correct. And right before we went ahead, she saw 4 things that she thought wasn't quite right. Talked it over with Brian, and they corrected 2 of them, but he said, no, the other 2 are okay. So I mean, I get to a point where I wrote it, I read it so much, you just start to just blur over it. You just glaze over it, and you don't find the mistakes. But luckily, I had my wife to look at it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So this past week, Trees and Trolls, Tree Trolls and Their Secret Gifts, you have an anthem that debuted. Yes. Tell us about your anthem.
Well, I had back about 12 years ago, I coached the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade basketball team, travel team. I have a lot of coaching background, but my son was on a team. And there was another player, his name was Logan. Now he goes by LJ, Sir LJ. And about 2 years ago, he started getting into music, into doing some rapping, and pretty light rap. And he was at the house about a month ago. He left. I called him up like 2 days later, and I said, Logan, I need a theme song. He said, I'll do that for you. I said, when do you think you can get it done? He goes, I'll have it done really pretty quick. So by, I think the next day or next afternoon, he sent me the chorus and the first verse. I said, Logan, you keep doing this. You gotta keep doing it.
Goodness.
Well, then I went away on a vacation. I came back. I said, Logan, is it? I'm hoping, is it done? He goes, no, I kind of put it aside for a little bit. He goes, in some ways it was getting in my head too much. He goes, I hear the theme so much that it started, I couldn't get it out of my head. So I had to step back from it. And but now I'll finish up, and I think within 3 days, he goes, it's done. And he sent it to me, and it's I love it, and I think the kids will love it. I'll be able to utilize it when I go into elementary schools and use it as my theme song prior to, and then I'll talk about the book and discuss the book, and then at the end, hopefully he's with me and he can come out and perform it.
That would be awesome.
And when I'm at the schools too, I have other things. I have vests. We talk about the vests and what the symbols are. I have those when I go to the elementary schools.
Oh, nice.
So that teachers can give those out to the appropriate student before I even get there. I've tried handing them out myself, but there's 12 vests and there's 200 kids.
Yeah.
Everybody wants one. So it's better when the teachers have them. I also have a vest for the teachers to wear, so an adult vest. So that would generate interest before I even get there as to, Mrs. Jones, why do you have a vest with people holding hands, shaking hands?
Yes.
So that works out well. But the theme song, I think Logan did an excellent job, and it's on iTunes on Gifts, and I think it's Tree Trolls Anthem. Sir LJ.
Do you plan on selling the anthem in a disc with your book?
Well, what we're asking people to do is we're going to give them information to how to go to iTunes and download it.
Okay.
Logan and I talked about, put on a disc, because it's very hard to sell one song on a disc. And nowadays most people can have the ability to know how to download Apple Music, iTunes, and they can just get it that way. I think it's $1.29 to download a song. Now, in the future, Logan and I are also discussing, he knows some other rap artists. He goes, maybe we can make a song for each troll.
Ooh, that would be cool, wouldn't it?
We always look to think big. I'm thinking, okay, so now we make that a song for each one. Then I put it into a story, and now I put it into a play, and now it becomes a 90-minute musical.
Oh my God!
I know it's out there.
See all the creativeness it comes out. Wow, it's incredible.
So it's down the road, but Logan already says I got 2 other artists who are on board with us. So
wow,
and that would give us a chance for them to perform their songs on the stage. And I'll tie it all in with a story, but they benefit by getting out there and people listening to their music, and I get out there in front of millions of people maybe, and promote these gifts, which is all about life skills and life lessons.
And I think in today's world too, it's an important message. Definitely.
Well, that's what a lot of times when I talk to teachers about it, they say, "Oh, you must have looked at our curriculum about our character development." I said, no. She goes, well, how did you come up with these 12 lessons, skills? I said, they just came to me. And it's what we should be teaching. We should be talking about the environment. We should be talking about friendships. We should be talking about cooperation, liberty, about freedom, and justice, and happiness, and love. And we should do that every day, especially with our children. So I try to take these 12 lessons and do them throughout my life, and they should be teaching our kids. Start them as young as they can.
I agree, 100%. So where can people find you in the book? We know Apple iTunes for the anthem.
They can find me on, I have a Tree Troll Facebook page, so it's just under Tree Trolls. There's a website, treetrollsecretgifts.com. So they can. There's a website for that, and I'll be in if they're in the New Hartford, Utica area. We'll be in. This will be my home base for the book and the T-shirts that we have, because we also have T-shirts that they can color. And which are really neat, because as you're coloring in the T-shirt, and if it's a T-shirt with all 12 trolls, which we have up here, as I was doing mine, I was thinking about the meaning of each one. So now what you have is, if you're a child doing it with a caregiver, a mother, or a parent, or grandparents, you're given a life lesson without them even knowing it, by them coloring. What troll are you doing now? Well, I'm doing comfort. Well, what was the last time you needed to be comforted? And have you given anybody comfort? And so you're given a lesson just by coloring a T-shirt without them even knowing it. And also here in the store, we have a big tree with a matching game where they can pull the trolls out of the tree and put it onto the correct stump. So there's a big matching game. There's a puzzle, tree troll puzzle they put together.
Oh my goodness!
So we're still trying to be creative and expanding, but the best place is probably Facebook, and through Tree Trolls. They can message me or stop by at the Lady in a Leap, and then check out Logan's theme song. And soon you're going to be introduced to Drew Buffington, who does caricatures, and he'll do some caricatures of kids as trolls. So,
oh my goodness. That's fantastic. We out of time, Harry? We are out of time. Well, guys, it's been a really great pleasure and honor to hang with Barry today. I am Allyson Murray, but before we go, we would like to give a very special thank you to our partners at Krypton Radio out of LA, Famous Faces and Funnies, Space Coast Comics, Off the Chain Radio with Yvonne Mason, Asylum Convention Entertainment Services with Heather Reed, Embellish FX out of Orlando, Florida, Celestial Healings out of Liverpool, New York. Without these guys, we couldn't do what we do. These are the folks that share our videos all over the World Wide Web, and we hope you will too. Don't forget to hit that like button, leave a comment, let us know what you think of today's show and our guest. You can also check our guest links below. Remember to subscribe, log on, and stay tuned to see who we're hanging with next. Thank you so much.
Thank you.